Nobody warned us this documentary would hurt this much. I went in thinking it was gonna be a celebration, a comeback. 7 guys, back together, happy ending. And instead, Netflix handed us a 90-minute emotional breakdown, disguised as a documentary, and I am not okay. If you haven't watched BTS The Return yet, stop everything. And if you have, you already know why we need to talk about this. So here's the thing about this documentary that nobody's saying out loud. This wasn't just a comeback. This was 7 grown men asking themselves one terrifying question: are we still relevant? Do people still care? Can we actually pull this off? They left at the top. Literal world domination, sold out stadiums, Grammy conversations, and then military service. 2 years. Silence. And the documentary doesn't hide that fear. It sits in it. You can see it on their faces. The pressure of making arirang wasn't just creative pressure. It was existential, like what if we come back and the world has moved on? That's not idle content. That's human content. And that's exactly why it hit different. Let's talk about what this documentary actually showed us. Because each member was carrying something heavy. You've got Namjoon, the leader, visibly stressed about whether the album direction was right. This man has the weight of 7 people's legacy on his shoulders, and you can feel it. Every decision he makes, he's thinking about all of them. Yoongi, and this one got me. You could see the exhaustion. Not physical exhaustion, creative exhaustion. The kind where you've poured everything into music for over a decade. And you're sitting there wondering if you have anything left to give. Jimin, visibly emotional multiple times. This is a man who feels everything at 100%. And the documentary doesn't shy away from that. You see him struggling. You see him pushing through it anyway. Taehyung, carrying this quiet kind of sadness, like he's processing the time that passed. 2 years is a long time. And you can see him recalibrating, figuring out who he is in this new chapter. Jin, the oldest, first to enlist, first to come back, and there's this specific energy from him that's equal parts relief and pressure. Like, okay, back, now what? Now, we prove it was all worth it. Hobie being the sunshine he is. But even he had moments where the mask slipped, where you could see he was tired, and that rawness from Joe. Of all people, that hits harder than anything. And Jungkook, youngest, and you can see that golden maknae pressure sitting on him differently now. He's not a kid anymore. He came back a grown man with real artistic opinions and real creative contributions to this album. And watching him navigate that new identity, quietly devastating. Hey, can we talk about the eating scenes for a second? Because I know it sounds random, but stay with me. There are moments in this documentary where they're just eating together, laughing, being stupid, and those scenes are doing more emotional heavy lifting than any of the serious interview segments. Because that's the thing about military service. You don't just miss the music, you miss the mundane. You miss sitting around a table with your people and watching them rediscover that comfort with each other. Genuinely laughing, not performing happiness. That's what broke me. Army, you know how we always say we want to see them being real. This is it. This is as real as it gets. But here's the part of the documentary that nobody warned us about. They didn't know if arirang was going to work. Let that sink in. BTS, 7 of the most successful artists on the planet, sitting in a studio, genuinely uncertain about whether people would receive this album. The pressure of making music after military service isn't just about creativity. It's about proving that the gap didn't break something, that the 7 of them coming back together still makes sense, that the chemistry didn't fade, that Army still cares. And you could feel that fear in the recording process. The second guessing, the scrapped ideas, the moments where someone would suggest something and the room would go quiet because nobody was sure. That vulnerability from people at this level of success, that's not something you fake for a camera. That's real. Here's my honest take. BTS The Return is not a hype documentary. It's not a promotional tool. It's not a PR piece dressed up as a behind the scenes. It's a document of 7 people trying to find their footing again after one of the most disruptive things that can happen to a group. And they're doing it publicly, letting us watch them be uncertain, letting us watch them fail and retry and doubt and push through. That takes courage that most artists will never have. And the result? Arirang sounds like exactly what it is. Music made by people who weren't sure they could still do it, who did it anyway, who poured every complicated emotion from those 2 years into every single track. That's not just a comeback album. That's a document of survival. And that brings me to us. Because this documentary isn't just about them. It's about what it means to support someone through uncertainty. ARMY held it down for 2 years. Streaming, trending, keeping the conversation alive. And watching them in that documentary stressed, emotional, hoping, you realize they were watching us too. Wondering if we'd still be there. And the answer was yes. Obviously, yes. But they didn't know that for certain. While they were making Arirang, they were making an album for an army they hoped was still waiting. That's the love story nobody talks about. Not parasocial obsession. Genuine mutual investment in each other's existence. If that doesn't make you want to stream Arirang on loop for the next 6 months, I don't know what to tell you. So here's where I land on BTS The Return. Watch it. Not for the hype. Not for the content. Watch it, because these are 7 real people who let you into something genuinely vulnerable, and that deserves your full attention. And then come back here and tell me which member's moment hit you the hardest, because I already know it's going to start a war in the comments. And honestly, good. That's the conversation this documentary deserves. If you made it to the end of this video, you're exactly the kind of army this channel is. 4. Subscribe, because we don't do surface level here.